Welcome back to Redirecting. Hopefully I can get through this video and you won't be able to hear the rain that's coming down too badly to where the video is too distorted. I hope that won't take place. I'm going to try to speak loudly enough so that it's not going to be too much of a problem. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about that spirit of narcissism. Again, we talked about it on the Watchmen Reports channel some time ago. And more specifically, I want to talk about those who are married to narcissists. Now, many times we only hear coming from one direction where a woman may be married to a narcissist, but there are men who are married to narcissists as well. And on the Watchmen Reports channel, we kind of talked about the spirit of narcissism from a different perspective. We talked about it as actually being something that was spoken of in Scripture. So that spirit of narcissism is, something that links back into ancient times. That is just a common modern day terminology they've affixed to a spirit that actually takes over a person's mind. And to go even further, it actually takes over their whole personality, their body, their movement, their actions towards others. It's a spirit. Okay, of course, the medical establishment, they have to affix a medical term to everything. Bipolar and schizophrenia and all these other different disorders, this is nothing more than demonic infiltration of the body and the mind. But they have to affix some type of medical terminology because they don't deal with the spiritual. Okay, the same can be said for narcissism. Because these people don't deal with the spiritual, they give you what is called a medical term for a spiritual problem. Now, I have been around and seen narcissists. I've seen men and women. So this is not just something that men are affected by. This is why you need to understand that this is a demonic problem. I've actually seen a woman that was so filled with narcissism, and in a nutshell, her husband actually knew it, but he was powerless, literally powerless to do anything about it. There was no real love or emotion shown whatsoever. No love or emotion shown whatsoever, even to the children. And even this person's parents, the father of the daughter really had some issue with his daughter behaving this way, to the point where he was reaching out for help as well, wanting someone to talk to her, to try to show her the error of her ways. But the problem with that, you cannot show a narcissist the error of their ways because they don't feel that there is anything wrong with them. So that's not something you can talk to a person about. This is a person who has spirits that have taken over mind, body, and soul. So you can't talk them out of it. You see, you can't talk them out of it, especially, in a case where this person has it already affixed in their mind that they are the picture of perfection, that they can do no wrong, that everybody else is wrong, that the problem is over here or over there, but not with themselves. That's how narcissists view the world, you see. And the young lady in that particular case, where her husband was clearly married to a narcissist, he tried to even speak to us in regards to something, and you could tell that he was kind of holding back, but giving just enough to say, look, help me, you see. Now, here's the deal. This spirit of narcissism in a marriage is very, very dangerous, because someone within that marriage, and if we are being honest, we can say that most of the time we do see it where the husband is the narcissist and the wife is the victim of this husband. And so this spirit has taken over so badly, and it doesn't care what race you are, it doesn't care how old you are, it doesn't care your financial status, any of that. Look at number 45. This man is he's clearly a narcissist. And his wife has shown that even though she and her husband occupy the highest seats in the nation and in the world right now, she has shown some clear disdain for that narcissist that she's married to. You see, now, on a lower scale, people who are not rich and wealthy, but just average, everyday people that are married to narcissists, that is like something that they feel like they feel helpless, because who can you turn to when you are married to a narcissist? Because in many cases, if it's a woman who's married to a husband that is a narcissist, she feels like she can't go to anyone because no one will understand or even possibly believe or can do anything about it, because most women feel the need to protect or to stay in that situation because they love that man. And even if you get to the point where you may not even love him or even like him anymore, you still feel compelled to stay. It could be for financial reasons or many other reasons. But the danger of being with a narcissist is the fact that you have allowed yourself to live in an abode with a person who has a spiritual disconnect. When you live with a person that has a spiritual disconnect, that will definitely affect you both naturally and spiritually. Because that spiritual void that they have, they will project their lack of spirituality on you with their deeds and actions against or towards you. That is the problem with a person who is a narcissist in a marriage, whether it's a man or a woman. A lot of men feel the need to control a woman because they have a narcissistic view of the Bible. So you do have religious men who are also narcissists. This is just not a secular thing. And I'm only using the term narcissist because that is what people are familiar with. But as I've stated before, this is actually a demonic infiltration of a person's mind and body, and in some cases their soul. And when you don't recognize or identify these things, you will find yourself in utter misery. And sometimes these situations or these marriages will end with either the husband or the wife eventually departing or walking away if they are able to, and they are completely destroyed, devastated, just completely messed up because of what another person has done in their lives. That is the state that many people find themselves in. This is why it's very important to not marry because you're lonely. Don't marry because you want a man, because you want companionship. You marry someone if you love them, if you have been divinely connected. When I say divinely, I'm talking about when the scripture says, whom Yah hath joined together, let no man put asunder. I'm talking about a divine connection, because when you marry for any other reason other than that, and you know in your heart of hearts that this man or this woman have some issues that are not issues you should be dealing with. Now, I'm not talking about a person who's not making enough money, because if you marry a person based solely on that, talking about my man better have some money and all this different stuff, then that person probably shouldn't be marrying you. If you're marrying somebody based on the fact that you think that they would be good in bed, then that's a problem. If you're marrying somebody based on what they can do for you only, and you don't even talk about or think about or consider what you can do for them, maybe you are the narcissist. There are a number of different reasons why people enter into these marriages or these situations, but you can best believe that if you are married to a narcissist, there were signs beforehand that you should not have entered into that union. But for your own reasons, and I'm going to say selfish reasons, you ignored those signs. Yes, if you marry a person thinking that you can change them or what have you, you are merely being selfish because you don't want to be lonely, and you think that you have the magic pill. I don't believe in magic, but for the sake of this conversation, you believe that you have the magic pill or the magic solution that's going to change this person who came in the door with problems. Now, I don't think that there are perfect people out here. Let me give you a clear understanding of what I mean, a person with problems. I'm not talking about some person who don't weigh the what you want them to weigh, or don't look how you want them to look. A person who may not be able to cook the way you want them to cook. I'm not talking about that type of stuff that just means nothing and can be corrected. If a man comes into a relationship with violent tendencies, you can't change him, and you probably shouldn't even try. If a woman comes in the door as a whore, leave that alone, okay? That's not going anywhere. She's going to remain that way, okay? And when I say that, I don't mean someone who may have had a child out of wedlock or something like that, or someone who may have made some mistakes in their lives. I'm talking about a person who is a straight up, you know what, a straight up whore, okay? Don't think that you can change that. That if that person is that way, if it walks like a dog, acts like a dog, talks like, it is what it is. So when you think that you can go into a situation or a marriage or a relationship and change somebody, then you are being selfish because you believe that you have it within yourself to improve this person for your use, for your benefit. Sometimes what we need to do is sit back, wait, and observe and pray. And for those of you who have these tall orders as it relates to who you want to marry, you have women who want men who are only if they're rich and wealthy. You have men who only want women who are shaped like a brick house. And just all these other things that don't tend to matter in a marriage after a while, because you can go into these things and a year later be miserable. If you marry somebody for the wrong reasons, after the initial honeymoon phase is over, you will ask yourself, what have I gotten into? I don't even like this person. I don't enjoy their company. I don't enjoy talking with them. We don't enjoy each other. We're just here occupying space together. Nothing in common. No love, no feeling, no emotion. If you are marrying the person for the wrong reasons, then you too are selfish. So maybe there are two narcissists who ended up together. But in the case where you have a person who genuinely did love someone and they made a mistake, but they're married to a narcissist, they have essentially invited themselves into a situation where they are being controlled by a person who doesn't have any feeling or concern for them. And now they're trying to figure out, how do I get out of this? How do I escape this? Sometimes there is no escape. Of course, you can get divorced, but many people choose to stay in these relationships. And they literally do it until death do us part, because if you're in a narcissist relationship and that narcissist knows that he can't always find someone who's going to bend and twist the way you have, he may have no motivation, or she may have no motivation to end the relationship with you, because you are giving them what they wanted, someone who they can bend and twist, someone who will be pliable in their hands. You have given them that, so they have no desire to go on anywhere else. Now, they may step outside of you and go and deal with other people, another man or another woman, but their relationship will remain with you because you are safe and you are allowing yourself to be trampled on. Narcissists love to have that type of control, and they also love to have fun, so they will do what it is that's going to please them without caring how you are affected by it. This is why I say this is not a medical condition that a person has. Now, again, I'm not talking about people who make honest mistakes or people who falter in their relationship, or you may say something to your spouse that you don't mean, because within a relationship or a marriage, you will have problems and situations. I mean, look at Abraham and Sarah. Even though they are a prime example of a beautiful couple in Scripture, they had problems. it got to the point where Sarah said, may the Most High judge between me and you. You see? And Abraham backed off. He was like, okay, woman. All right. You see? So, of course, I'm not talking about simple relationship problems that a lot of people may have. I'm talking about a person who has a demonic spirit that rests upon them and in them and causes them to be a certain way towards others, not just their wife, but even their children. Or not just their husband, but even their children. Because it does go both ways. There are men who are married to narcissistic women. Women who think so highly of themselves that they don't believe that they can do anything wrong. They believe that they are perfection. They are quick to point out all of the flaws in their husband while ignoring their own flaws. And if there's any perfection in their children, oh, you got that from his side of the family. This is what happens when you have people. This is what happens when you have people who are so self-absorbed and spiritually disconnected that they can't see their own faults. Now, when I'm talking about flaws, just say a child born pigeon-toed or a child born with birth defects, they're going to point that to the husband. Okay? Now, of course, some traits do come from a husband or some come from a wife. But when you have a person who's narcissistic in their thinking, they are going to point out every flaw that their spouse has and make sure that that person feels some kind of way about those flaws, while at the same time elevating their own selves almost to a place of godhood and believing that that spouse, that their husband or wife, is supposed to adhere to all of their bad traits. Of course, they don't see them as bad traits. They see them as what is needed to keep the relationship intact, when in all actuality, it is actually what is destroying the relationship. Their control over that person, their manipulation of that person, and I'm going to say their hatred of that person. Because usually a person that's narcissistic don't really truly love the people that they are with, their husband or their wife. They don't really truly love them. They really don't truly love anyone because they don't have the ability to love. They're almost like a robot to demons. Demons control this person at will. And some of them, they smile. You might have one that's extremely pretty, one that's handsome. It doesn't matter, rich, poor. It doesn't care about any of that because you are dealing with a demonic infiltration. This is a spiritual matter. This is not natural. So the medical establishment may tag it with a term like narcissism, but know and understand that this is a spiritual battle you are in if you are married to a narcissist. And if at all possible, if you can exit that relationship, you owe it to yourself to do so because they will drag you down spiritually. And know for a certainty that a marriage such as that wasn't something put together or ordained by the Most High Yah. That was something you got into because you didn't listen to the voice of the Most High Yah, but you listened to your own flesh and your own desires. Well, the rain is starting to get a little bit heavy, and I don't know how it's going to affect the rest of the video, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. But I wanted to just shed a little more light on the subject of narcissism within a marriage, whether it's a husband or a wife. I hope I have said something to help you have a greater understanding of this spiritual matter and not only look at it from a natural or medical perspective. With that, I will say shalom.